Hi, I'm Nat.
And I'm Guy, and we got Nicolas Cage and Christian Bale in a new movie.
And apparently I'm always late because I started the Spanish one late and this one late as well. So sorry about that.
Well, we had to fix the RUMBLE stream because we got a few stories we're going to have to go over there at the end with.
Yes.
Do you want to get right into the stories?
Sure. What do you want to start with?
Did you want to start with the Cannes Film Festival? We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but you got an article today.
Yes. So, well, I didn't talk about it yesterday. I talked about it in Spanish, but...
we mentioned it, though, because it kind of took me by surprise.
So the Cannes Film Festival, because I want your opinion, that's mostly why I wanted to talk about it here. Cannes Film Festival bans nudity on the red carpet. What does it mean for the naked dress?
I thought you said they banned Diddy on the red carpet.
Probably.
Nudity on the red carpet. That's surprising coming from Cannes, which is like a liberal film festival. And considering what's in all these movies, And
I mean, also, we all remember the Olympics in France.
Oh, because it's in France.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, also, I think what they realized was that the red carpet was turning more into a fashion show. And like the attention was being given to these women's testicles and not to the films and the actual reason why they were there.
Yeah, and when people are dressed more classically in tuxedos and nice ball gowns and stuff like that, it gives it a sense of historic value. So it plays well in the future when people look back on past events. Rather than it is getting pretty crazy with all the nudity and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's the kind of thing that people used to sit down and watch as a family with their kids, things like that. So,
but I don't know the Cannes one, but in general.
Yeah, no, but just like red carpet events and things like that. I'm just kind of mentioning red carpet events.
And what do you think of women getting all... showing it all?
I have pretty much conservative values and a set moral standard that kind of follows Christianity somewhat.
So you don't want me to dress like that?
No.
Now?
No. I'm sure we can get more views, but it's definitely not worth it.
No, I would never do that. And I mean, it is attention seeking as well from celebrities and from the designers that are putting them in these things because they usually don't get to pick what they wear. But apparently I'm trying to avoid...
Well, these stars are having less and less talent, so they're having to do more and more radical things, like expose themselves.
I didn't say that in English, in Spanish, but that too. But apparently some of them are already defying the new red carpet dress code at the Cannes Film Festival because one of the things on the dress code was that you can't have these long trains and tails that get in the way of everybody, and they're just tripping hazards, essentially. And just a way for, that's Heidi Klum, for people to stare at you.
Well, stars are going to kind of do what they want, and if one gets banned from actually going into the film festival because of their dress, they're going to make headlines. It's going to bring media attention, which they want.
And that's what Halle Berry, who, it was funny, Megyn Kelly had this opinion about her because she was out there on the Met Gala red carpet showing lips, and they weren't the ones on her face, essentially. But Megyn Kelly made this great point that apparently during an interview or something, someone mentioned that she didn't have great sexual prowess, essentially. She wasn't good in bed. And then since then, a few years ago, she's been trying to dress way more scantily clad to prove people that she is sexy.
She's been doing more than dress like that. Did you see her social media post?
No.
She was naked in bed with a guy and they had some lube and she was basically talking about how she's going to get run through in a moment.
And that's all because apparently somebody came out to say at some point in 2014 or something like that she wasn't good in bed. She heard that she wasn't good in bed.
Well, I heard she used to get around a lot. And when she was filming in Vancouver and things like that, if you remember Eric?
Yes.
Yes, he knew her personally.
Interesting. We had a friend that used to be in the entertainment business.
And he used to have he used to rent out a big mansion and throw big parties. And because he was a bouncer, he would bring everybody to the after parties and things like that. Halle Berry was one of these people. So supposedly, according to Eric.
But apparently they made her change as well.
What do you mean? Oh, they made her change and she did change.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I used to really like Halle Berry. And I think
I didn't even like her as Storm.
I didn't mind her at all.
X-Men. Then another one with the long tails. Because apparently
this girl looks like a poodle.
Apparently they got informed of this yesterday, a day before the thing started. But, and a lot of the articles that I read were saying how are their stylists going to cope? This is such a big ask. And I'm like, no, during awards shows and whatever event a celebrity is attending, you have to have extras of things or other gowns that you can put them in case they drop their coffee or it gets stained or it gets ripped or it doesn't fit or whatever. So there's always multiple options that they have with them. Otherwise, they're not good stylists. Well, so that's not an excuse.
I'm surprised people aren't complaining.
They are.
They're saying
that it's sexist.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I was going to say, I'm surprised nobody says this was sexist.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of the opinion that I read in Spanish was like, this is sexism, trying to control women's bodies. How dare they?
Well, it's funny. They all want to wear dresses now because they were to the Oscars, they were all wearing pantsuits.
That was a Met Gala.
Oh, the Met Gala.
But because you're supposed to wear a tailored suit.
Yeah.
So, but not one that shows everything. And I don't know what's more controlling, like telling women that everybody will be more attracted to them and making them these fashion icons and just icons in general and make them feel that they're more attractive when they get naked, or telling them to have some modesty and cover up and that they'll still be beautiful that way. I think that's more empowering for women than telling them, oh yeah, just get naked. That's the best way to gain an audience and to get attention.
Okay, well, let's go into the next story, which was the thumbnail. But before we do have a lot of politics and controversial stories. We try to front load the culture story so we can get around the YouTube censors. Yes. So if you are here for the politics, just hold on. We got some really big stories with that. Okay, first images of Nicolas Cage as football icon John Madden, and Christian Bale's also in the movie. He's playing Raiders owner Al Davis.
So who are those people? Not the actors, the ones that the biopic are about.
One's the owner of the Raiders, as it says, and Madden used to coach football. I believe he also used to play football, and most of this generation is going to know him because of the Madden football game from EA Sports. It's one of the biggest sports franchises ever created. So.
No idea. But apparently it's an Amazon MGM production, and this is the first images of Nicolas Cage, who apparently made an effort to look like the dude.
Well, yeah, he does look like him. So
I still have no idea who the dude is, but okay. He looks like the dude from, what's it called?
What?
From the movie.
What movie?
The one where the dude is in.
Oh, The Dude. Is it called The Dude?
No. What's it called? John Travolta.
Oh, not John Travolta. What's his name?
No, he's not John Travolta, but I mean, he's in that one.
Why don't you keep talking for a minute, and I will type it up so we can...
Well, whatever. He, except for the beard, he looks Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges.
The actor is Jeff Bridges, who plays the dude. Why is my brain farting? Okay.
The Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski, there we go.
That's what it was. That was a good movie as well. Yes. Although Jeff Bridges is really liberal and crazy.
Still, when, what was her face?
What?
Not Nicole Richie, the other girl. The girl looked hot before they botched her plastic surgery, which is terrible, and that's why you shouldn't get plastic surgery.
Let's move on. We got Alec Baldwin's wife here, and this was kind of a funny story. I really despise Alec Baldwin, and his wife is even worse. If you don't know about his wife...
Hilaria Baldwin, with the accent. Well, I can make the same accent.
We have a lot of Spanish audience that might be tuning in from our Spanish channel.
Yes, thank you if you're all coming over from that.
She completely faked her Spanish accent a few years ago.
For a long time.
Come to find out, she has no Spanish accent.
No, she's from the States. Yeah. Long Island or somewhere.
She made a bunch of claims that she was from South America, all kinds of other things. Oh, from Spain.
Because Spain is more classy than Latin America.
And this whole thing came out, and it was a whole huge controversy. Yes. People forgot about it because of the controversy that happened with Alec Baldwin on the Rust set, which we went into a few days ago, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, she would make, what is this called? La tomato? I don't know. Well, but anybody can do that. And
now she's doing it again.
Yes. What is she doing now?
Well, read the headline here.
So Alec Baldwin's wife, this is from Ollie London. You can have your opinion about him if you know who that is. Wife Hilaria called out for a staged paparazzi shoot to promote her new book.
So basically she's staging a paparazzi shoot, or that's what people suspect because of the way she's holding the book. Nobody wants to get her as a paparazzi either. She's not famous.
I think there's music in it, so I'm not playing sound. So you can just keep talking.
Okay. So I'm holding the book like this. That's crazy.
I think there's some people in this world that don't know how not to be fake. And there's only one person filming her.
You know who she looks like? She looks like that Korean girl that was shooting the Instagrams by the grocery store the other day. She had her boyfriend in the middle of the pillar with his cell phone, and she kept walking back and forth to do this Instagram photo shoot. And then we went into the grocery store. 45 minutes later, we came out. She's still at the same intersection doing the same walk, trying to get the perfect angle. It was nuts.
Yeah, social media makes people do stupid and crazy things and look like fools in the process.
Well, it's fine if you want to do it, but just do it once or maybe even twice. But doing it for an hour, and it was the same movement with the same thing. It was crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, yes, people are insufferable. I don't even know unless she's revealing why she decided to fake an accent and say she was Spanish in the book. I don't know anybody's going to buy it. Same as Meghan Markle. Nobody cares about what these people think.
People may buy the book because of what the Rust scandal.
I don't think she's going to talk about it.
But if she does talk about the Rust scandal, they're capitalizing off...
now I want to know what her book is about.
They're capitalizing off the passing away of the cinematographer on Rust through a book, possibly. And they're definitely capitalizing with the Rust movie. Because nobody was going to watch that movie until that controversy kind of happened.
Oh, it's a memoir. Apparently it's a strange and uncomfortable read.
Okay, so I'm thinking Rust is probably in there.
Is it called Taking My Voice? What's it called? Oh, manual not included. So it's about her family and how difficult it is to have that family, which, I mean, I agree. Probably. So Rafa says, hi, I was listening to another video, I guess, and you started the stream just as the other one ended, so it didn't miss anything. See, I always tell him if we are like right on time, nobody shows up.
Okay, let's go into the next story, and we'll just run over this really quickly. I got a lot of news stories. Some of the stuff I talked about in my morning show.
And I talked about it in Spanish.
And you talked about it in Spanish as well. So, Ironheart trailer.
This is from that Park Place. Once again, go follow WDW Pro on YouTube if you like Disney news and entertainment news, and they also own this site.
And this is a joke of a movie. I'll just make it quick. It's feminist. It's feminist. It's DEI. It's something that nobody's going to want to watch. And the fact that they're really ripping off Iron Man is putting this...
Well, I mean, Ironheart is a character in the Marvel canon, but she's not important.
Yeah, but when you see the whole thing looks like it's a bad imitation of Iron Man. And they had one of the best actors for all the Marvel movies with Robert Downey Jr. Now people are definitely going to compare this young actress to him.
Because also, I mean, people in the comments, because I don't think you'll know, but wasn't Gwyneth Paltrow towards the end of all of the Avengers and Iron Man movies, wasn't she supposed to be Ironheart?
Oh, I don't know that.
But now it's this black girl.
Well, they had to make it DEI. Yes, come on, they had to check those boxes.
And a woman that has can do no wrong.
And did you have anything about this? You already kind of talked about it?
Well, apparently, I mean, obviously, I mean, it's not surprising, as they say here in that Park Place, that the fan reaction is brutal as the dislikes explode. They made it into a series. They made it a few years ago, and now they're just finally releasing it. And even with the trailer, like a lot of the scenes seemed like a play-by-play or like shot-by-shot from another thing I watched about Marvel, and I don't remember what it was, but it seemed way too similar. I don't know if it was Thunderbolts, one of those other ones.
It was probably Black Panther Wakanda Forever because it's the same director.
No, it was
he got the same actor.
The whole apartment thing, like when the apartment explodes and stuff, I think they did something very similar in another one, unless it was this one and there was another trailer for it, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I will say one thing, the guy that did Wakanda Forever, he also did Sinners, and he is a pretty good director overall. He's maybe having to jump through some hoops and do some movies he doesn't want, but when he really got to have a little bit of freedom with Sinners, it seemed like that movie came out really well. But he is playing, I guess, the corporate director here and checking the boxes as far as working for Disney for certain things so he can get approved for his passion projects.
And also, apparently, Disney had the brilliant idea to drop the trailer for this stupid series the same day that the Superman one dropped. And I mean, the Superman one got a way better reception than this thing.
It's still getting mixed reviews, the Superman.
It has 99,000 dislikes for when they wrote this article. The other one has 7,000.
Oh, I mean, the culture is just changing so fast. Like that Kanye West song, did you see the things?
You keep talking about that and trying to get me to talk about.
Well, no, it's kind of hard to talk about on YouTube, but it is all over social media right now. It's been completely banned, but they are banging it in clubs in freaking India and Thailand and South Korea, and people are just literally dancing to it. It's crazy. It's really blowing up considering it's banned on every single platform.
And it's a song. I mean, of course, young people will like a song that is banned and is like you're not supposed to listen to.
They're dancing with the hand movements as well.
Yes. So it's if you don't know, the whole Kanye song is about the mustache man from Germany and those the sympathizers he had, and they also use a lot of the hand gestures and the salutes that he used to have in the music video and now in the dances that they're doing all over the world, which is funny, but at the same time, I mean, it's not surprising.
It's funny because it's not really catching on in the States or Western countries. It's catching on in places like Mexico, in places like the Asian market especially.
You think it might be because
the Asian market has always had a thing
of the
for
language barrier?
Well, no, not at all. Because the Asian countries definitely have a huge thing for Mustache Man. I don't know if you know, Japan has a lot of restaurants, bars that just have stuff all around.
They use it as a theme.
Yeah, China does as well. So they use it as a theme,
But I mean, if anybody from Mexico can confirm with me, but I do remember when all of these like songs and rappers were saying the N-word in songs. For example, in Mexico, people, because we don't have the same, cultural sensitivity and the same blocking of words that there was in the States and in Canada and other English-speaking countries. I mean, I would have friends, I know people who would just like yell out that word. And even, it was funny, when I got to Canada and was in university and I knew a lot of Spanish speaking people, they were my friends, they got like a lot of pushback for saying those words to each other, like between Mexicans. They would say that word and people would be like Canadians would be like, you can't say that, how are you calling each other that? And I think eventually they got most people understood, especially with BLM around the world, that you're not supposed to say that. But
well, there's a big movement from that Kanye West song that the black community should start policing themselves and stop using that word themselves because it's disrespectful to their own people. And I somewhat agree with that. But let's go into the next story here. And you did cover this. You did cover this in the Spanish one, but I tried to push the second half of the article because I just had grabbed it as you were talking about the first part of the story. So let's go into the first part of the story really quick.
The Texas one?
Yeah, the Texas one.
Yeah.
I'll give my thoughts on that, and then we'll go into the second half, which you didn't have time to cover.
So Texas House passes 2 bills concerning gender, sex, time running out on other bills. State lawmakers returned to work on Monday with more than 4,000 House bills on the calendar and a deadline. So House Bill 229.
Okay, let me just read it off of my notes here really quick.
I can't.
Okay, SB.
Yeah, I'm going to that one.
Okay.
So Senate Bill SB 1257 mandates insurance companies to cover any adverse medical side effects caused by a sex change procedure and also pay for those who want to detransition. It passed on Monday, and then yesterday it passed even further. Now it's just going to get signed.
And recovery treatments.
Yes.
So this is actually huge. Rather than trying to ban insurance companies from allowing sex changes in their insurance policies, they want to make sure they cover all the reversal procedures, which there is a huge community that do regret this after, and they do want reversal procedures, and they're extremely expensive and risky. So if you start putting bills, the insurance company has to pay for reversal surgeries, treatment, anything that goes wrong. They're just going to not put these in their policies. This was a really sneaky way of just getting rid of it, but doing it in a positive way without really discriminating.
And they won't be so keen on pushing all of this. I'm guessing, because also we were starting to see at least some lawsuits towards doctors that then didn't give the appropriate care once the person decided to detransition, or if they were seriously injured by either the medications, the hormones, the puberty blockers.
Well, this is going into the second part of it, and a lot of documentaries like What is a Woman and stuff kind of touched on this when they did this topic, but it was that the best way to approach this is if they can get legal liability onto the parents and the doctors if a minor makes this decision.
To the people that are pushing the minor.
That will virtually stop this.
Yes.
And now this is the first step to going towards that. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely for legal liability for parents and doctors, especially doctors, because doctors aren't going to risk their careers.
Well, I'm sure some will, but then we'll get to see the consequences of it. And then the second part.
Okay, go into the second part really quick and just.
So from Colin Wright, he's been fighting with Tim
And just
Pool.
look who wrote this.
Yeah, Colin Wright.
No, the Transformers. Transfeminist.
Oh, yeah. So a new paper published by Springer Nature argues that pregnancy is not to be defined by biological phenomena, but instead as a genre of political, aesthetic, and affective experience involving birth and becoming in a larger sense. So it was the paper, Carlos Arriego from Yale University, says transfeminist pregnancy, reproductive speculation, genre, and desire. Blech. So it's in feminist theory.
Yeah, so they're trying to, this is what they do. They do it within the academic community first. They start changing words. Then they go into the dictionary. They go into Google. They slowly change one thing at a time. Next thing you know, men can get pregnant. They're trying to change the definition of pregnancy here. Words are important. The conservatives really need to start protecting.
Yeah, they already defined at least what biological sex means and what women and men means. But I just really do want to read the abstract because it's insane, and it's insane academic babble and psychobabble as well.
This is what they're getting their PhDs on.
Yeah, this is what a lot of people are paying millions of dollars to.
Well, and I'll say one more thing.
Then getting in debt and then asking the president to forgive their debt to go study stuff like this.
Well, and then they wonder why nobody trusts science anymore, or people are questioning science, and then the government comes out and says, "Follow the science." Well, the science the science you're putting forth, Mr. Government, is absolutely insane.
Yes. So let me read it because it's crazy. In the explosion of abortion pills post-Dobbs, the decision, anti-abortion language identifies women according to their reproductive potential. Woman means an individual with a uterus regardless of any gender identity. According to this definition, pregnancy or the potential for pregnancy define womanhood. Because duh. Women without uteruses, cis and trans, are excluded. No, they're not. They're just having issues. That can happen, and trans men with uteruses are absorbed into the category of woman. This reproductive language tethering transgender and reproductive politics requires a reassessment of how pregnancy is theorized in feminist and transgender studies. In the following article, I argue that pregnancy is not to be defined by biological phenomena, but instead as a genre of political, aesthetic, and affective experience and expectation, as a multidimensional genre of experience rather than merely a biological datum. Pregnancy can potentially establish a shared ground between trans and cis women. Pregnancy is an existential experience involving birth and becoming in a larger sense.
Well, they're saying pregnancy is no longer biological, it's political. This is absolutely crazy.
We need a more all-encompassing notion of pregnancy, which is nourished by the capacious, again with the stupid psychobabble academic language, capacious social world of conception and giving new life. Such a definition of pregnancy supports the goal of feminists who resist the reduction of womanhood to reproductive function. For transgender studies, a wider understanding of pregnancy helps build a transsexual theory of reproduction on feminist grounds. So they want to get men pregnant.
And you have to remember, all this stuff is really aligning with transhumanism. That's what this whole LGBTQIA plus craziness. We have to get rid of what a man and a woman is. It has to go in a lot with Marxist theories, but ultimately it's driving towards a post-human society. And this is going to go right into artificial wombs. So that's the next step. And that's going to be happening in the next few years. So.
And also, I mean, telling women that pregnancy and motherhood doesn't make them women. A lot of women have already been completely enraged by that notion, especially when they changed, for example, instead of saying breastfeeding, now you have to say chest feeding. Instead of pregnant woman, it's pregnant person. And a lot of people came out against that because it strips women of their womanhood, which is what here this stupid Carlo idiot person is trying to say, that women shouldn't be tethered to pregnancy or womanhood.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this also
and that is one of the key defining features, both biologically, genetically, reproductively, everything that makes the distinction between men and women, and why men and women need each other to create more men and women.
Okay, let's go into Canadian tariffs and take this next story with a grain of salt. But why don't you go into it?
Just quickly, Rafa says, and that's supposed to be one of the most prestigious universities in the world. Exactly. They're teaching people that apparently you can have babies out of your butt if you're a man. Like, that's what they want to do.
I have a baby once a day.
You guy. You don't want that on the internet. Rafa says, talking about transhumanism, do you know if Elon still wants to implant chips in our brains? He's been quite quiet about that lately.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he still wants to.
Oh, yeah.
Because now he has his robot, so maybe he can tether your thing to the robot and you can go live for you. so you don't have to go out into the world.
There's all kinds of crazy things. And as much as I like Elon, the certain aspects, you really got to watch the guy, but that's good. It's same with Trump. Like I trust him in a lot of aspects. I like what he's doing in a lot of aspects, but I like to watch him really closely and really see what's going on. And it makes it easier to watch somebody in that kind of power when the media is really against him. Anything he does wrong, or if he just steps out of line a little bit, the media is really all over him. And it's nice to have an independent media that is kind of sided with him, but will push him in the right direction if he starts going off course.
Well, having both perspectives.
Yeah, and everything that's been going on in the Middle East is really a good sign that he is listening to his base. It seems like he's really back on board with the anti-war movement.
And I mean, with Elon, if his brain chips help people walk again or regain motor function or maybe deal with aging or Alzheimer's or whatever, sure. But I mean, we know that that's number one, not the end goal. And number two, there's a lot more terrible things that can happen once you start trying to put computers inside of people.
Okay, let's go into...
Because then singularity, maybe. What?
Then singularity, maybe.
Do you know what the singularity is?
Yes, I know what the singularity is.
Okay.
Okay, come on.
Rafa said I'm based, so thank you.
And a robot.
I'm not a robot. I can make a robot voice sometimes. He hates it when I troll him with it. Oh, should I read this as a robot?
Okay.
So this is coming from the Financial Post. Just putting it out there that Financial Post might be Chinese state-sponsored media, but still the story.
And I was gathering a lot of these stories as you were on air for the your last Spanish segment. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have...
you were playing around with technology all evening.
Yeah.
Trying to fix stuff for the streams.
Okay, let's go into this.
I forgot my robot voice.
That's all right. Just read the article.
Canada's new tariffs on U.S. dropped to nearly zero with exemptions. Retaliatory tariffs on some U.S. goods remain, including food items, alcohol, and coffee, as well as clothing and cosmetics.
Okay, and then read the first paragraph, but don't do it in that. I hate that voice.
Why not?
I hate that voice.
Oh, I can't read it. They blocked me.
Oh, they blocked you. Okay. Well, basically, I had read the article.
Because I tried to find...
Why does it block you? It didn't block me on my phone, though.
Let me try to figure it out.
No, that's fine. Don't figure it out live on the air. Okay, but basically what this was saying is that the U.S. still has all of its tariffs on Canada, but the Canadian economy is really starting to, I wouldn't say free fall yet, but it's teetering on the verge of collapse. They've all gone on vacation. They did like a week's worth of work since the election, and the whole government went on vacation today. That being said, they're secretly lowering the tariffs on all imported goods from the U.S., or at least like 99% of them, because they need to prop up their economy in any way, shape, or form that they can. They've invested billions upon billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars into the steel and automotive industry, and those industries are leaving, as well as the cell phone industry as well. So they were giving billions of dollars to Bell. Bell is a Canadian telecommunications company, yes. And they said they're leaving a lot of the Canadian market and headed to the American market. So, okay, let's go into the Alberta story, I guess.
What's the Alberta story?
Oh, maybe I'll just read it. Oh,
I didn't get that.
You didn't get it. Okay, you grab it while I read the story here. Okay, so we know I love to talk about the Alberta separation movement, and this could change the paradigm between what the power citizens have and the power the government has. If Alberta sets the precedent that the people can separate from a country, then other countries may start enacting legislation that would do the same. There's a lot of propaganda online saying this movement's not going so well. That's completely the opposite. 45,000 Albertans per hour signed up for the Alberta Prosperity Project. That's the APP. That's the separation movement. Not to protest, but to trigger an independent referendum. They hit 220,000 signatures already. That being said, they only need 120,000, but I think they want to set a statement before they submit this to the government. Number one, that they have way more than enough. So if any signatures are disqualified, they're still going to produce more than enough signatures to qualify to trigger a referendum.
I found this guy.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I actually watched it.
Do you want to watch it? I'm guessing that he's just saying the exact same thing. Yeah, no,
it's only a minute long, so let's watch it.
Fine. 1 second.
Okay, there you go.
Since the election, well, we were anticipating growth if Carney won, but we were getting 4,000 to 5,000 people an hour join us at one point. So we've got enough. Right now, we're up to 220,000 pledges. So based on Premier Smith's new threshold, we can actually trigger a referendum for independence for Alberta. So our goal is not necessarily just to trigger the referendum. Our goal is absolutely to win the referendum. We believe that we're in a position right now to actually make real change. And I think Alberta has changed from that day forward. Alberta is going to become a different place. The Premier's come out and said many things that she's mentioned the word separation. She's absolutely on a path to renegotiate Alberta's deal within Confederation. So we believe that those are positive things.
Okay, that's good for that. Okay, this being said, it's very interesting, this chess match that's kind of going on. The Liberal government was supposed to propose their economic budget for the year. They're refusing to do that and decided to go on vacation instead, even though Canada is on the verge of economic collapse and catastrophe. Why did they do that? And a lot of people aren't putting two and two together. If they go on vacation, they're hoping Alberta will trigger this referendum sooner rather than later. The country hasn't quite fallen apart yet. As it stands now, the Canadian government may be able to have enough people come out and vote to stick with Canada. If this happens 6 months down the road, that separation movement is definitely going to happen because the Canadian economy isn't going to hold on for 6 more months.
Mm-hmm. So. And I mean, that's how they operate. Usually they kind of play around with when Parliament comes in, goes out, goes on vacation, does things so they can either put in bills without people noticing or to avoid stuff as well.
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting to see when they come back, when they put in their economic proposals for their budgets, things like this. Is the Alberta separatist movement smart enough to kind of hold off and wait for the time when Mark Carney starts making some major mistakes or the Canadian economy naturally starts to crumble? Because that's the best time it would be for a referendum. Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want to mention that because that is my favorite story, and I really think that has global implications on how citizens can take control of their governments again.
That sounds bad, but
what?
To have the governments actually work for people instead of for themselves.
No, I want citizens to take control of the government.
That's an insurrection.
No, that's called democracy.
That's called bad populism.
No, that's democracy.
Democracy is when people elect a government to then...
They didn't elect that government.
I know, but what I'm saying is democracy is when the people elect a government
I'm all for
in order for the government to work for them.
We can
disagree.
The government is supposed to work I'm all for populism. I like
There's
populism.
certain types of populism that work, but when in conjunction of democracy.
We won't have the debate right now.
Because otherwise you have a puppet up there, but okay.
Okay. Well, it's not really a puppet. Right now they have puppets that are controlled by the elites.
I know.
I'd rather have a puppet controlled by the people.
You don't want a puppet. That's the whole point.
Okay, let's continue to go.
CNN, these are real puppets, plans to launch new streaming service this fall. Another one, because if you don't know or you don't remember, they already launched one that completely failed, and I think they shuttered it within the week or something.
Yeah, and I talked a little bit on the morning show, so we'll keep this story quick, but it was $600 million they attempted to launch this online service with the first time. It completely failed, crumbled, and then they went back on it. They're going to try it again. Now, they need to be able to merge their, cable structure to the online structure to bring the viewership over. The problem is they have new leadership at the company that said they were going to tone it back towards the middle. They haven't done that. It's still a lot of extremely liberal propaganda on that channel. So I don't know what they're going to do. They do have Scott Jennings, and Scott Jennings has brought in a little bit of debate, and people are clicking on CNN clips online when it involves Scott Jennings, the conservative, battling it out with the liberal progressive movement on CNN. They just need to do more of that, and they need to do more of that online.
Yes. And they have to understand, they have to stop being scared at it, as I said in the morning, of having like online personalities that are huge personalities with these huge fan bases come in and also participate, because that would be actual journalism. Or also, like, other than debates and, having people from all sides, not just the other side, but all sides come in and talk. And I mean, that would make it even more interesting for people to watch, but also do the real journalism of the people that would go and report what's happening in this war or that war or this country, and be completely unbiased and just say, oh, there's a person there. Oh, there's a dog there. Oh, instead of, oh, that dog has transgender.
Piers Morgan
stuff.
set out the game plan exactly how to do it. Have debaters from both sides on a big platform.
On the debate side, but on the news side, on the actual reporting side. And I think that's more important.
They're not going to do that.
They should.
What's going to happen is this company is going to go virtually bankrupt. The conservatives going to come in and buy it. It's going to make headline news when CNN goes conservative, or at least back to moderate, with a conservative CEO and things like this. So,
because I mean, they at least have.
It's going to be pennies on the dollar pretty soon.
Because at least for now, I mean, it's not like they're completely broke. They're still this huge company, and they could pivot to actually use their money to report things and to do journalism.
I don't think they're a huge company anymore. I was looking at their numbers.
Not huge, but bigger than us. For example, like they have enough money to go places and film it.
This is the problem. They don't. I think they're bankrupt. A lot of their money was coming in from USAID and a lot of different nefarious means. They have money to go film things, and they're upside down. They're actually losing money every year. Well, at least we're not. We're breaking even though we might have four viewers.
We're breaking zero, but yeah.
They're upside down on their economics right now. So that's why I'm saying pennies on the dollar. Whoever comes in and buys it is actually buying a lot of debt. Okay, that being said, somebody said something about Alberta.
Oh, it could be the conservative news network.
Somebody said something about Alberta in the comments.
Walker. Walker. It says, so Alberta's going to be like Catalonia from Spain. I mean, hopefully they actually managed to do the thing that Catalonia has been fighting for so long, but kind of.
But it's a lot easier for Canada
because it's already put into the Charter of Rights and into the Constitution, but it's not called the Constitution of Canada because of the whole Quebecois thing.
Yeah.
And the Quebec, when they had their separatist movement, it was put into the law that through referendum, and if enough people want to actually separate, I think if not one of the only country in the world that has. It
is the only country in the world, and they already have enough signatures, as we just heard. So they're going to go forward with it at some point. I think they're just trying to time it. They don't want it to happen right now because the Liberals in Canada are riding somewhat high, and it would be a harder referendum rather than when the economy falls.
Yes.
The next story was huge, and I just got this right before I got on air.
Yeah. There we go. So Minnesota officials react to speculation on Derek Chauvin pardon.
Okay, so there's a lot of talk about a Derek Chauvin pardon. There's a big movement for this. If you can't remember who Derek Chauvin is, he was the cop that supposedly had the knee on George Floyd's neck. This was one of the biggest propaganda hoaxes the media had played on the general public. To this day, a lot of people don't know what actually really happened. Mm-hmm. The only bigger hoax than this was the mass grave hoax in Canada. So Derek Chauvin was actually trained by the police department to do that particular move of the knee on the upper shoulder neck area. There was video of this. There was training manuals of this. They didn't allow a lot of this into court. George Floyd was around 230 pounds. Chauvin was 140 pounds. He's an extremely small man, so he was going to have to use more excessive force and really leave his weight on the gentleman. It was seen later on that they also didn't allow into court that George Floyd had swallowed a bunch of narcotics and it was in his bloodstream. The coroner's report was meddled with. Mm-hmm. That evidence wasn't allowed in either. This was a witch trial. They allowed the protesters to threaten jurors outside the courthouse.
And broke into a huge movement. All of Minnesota,
they burned down the city.
Not just that city, but a lot of cities. And then other people got into trouble also for what happened after.
Yeah,
so if you remember, what's his face?
A lot of people did know that he was actually innocent if you would have looked just at the evidence, but the emotions were so high and people were scared of what might happen if they didn't convict him or let him go. So I could definitely see him getting a pardon. If not a pardon, at least a retrial.
And I recommend once again, if you haven't seen it, even though it's on the Daily Wire and they mistreated her, go watch Candace Owens' whole documentary about this because it shows a lot of those hoaxes that a lot of people still believe. And for example, the whole mama thing that he was crying out for his mother and this whole emotional thing where he was passing away and calling out for his mother. And no, he was calling out for his girlfriend, who he called mama. And he had also said those exact same words in several other times that he had been detained and is on police body cam that wasn't allowed into court.
And if you don't know who Candace Owens is, she's a black female reporter / journalist. Yeah.
Independent.
So that was a documentary
creator.
she did specifically about the hoax of George Floyd, and it was big at the time.
And also, I mean, this sparked more BLM to actually get going. And we also know what happened with BLM. And I mean, where all their finances went, they didn't go to the people. They didn't go to do repairs for all the cities that they burned down during the protests.
Housing.
They went to
lady.
mansions. The mansions that all these ladies that were running BLM bought with the money people donated to them. Okay. But you can't say that because it's racist.
Let's go quickly into the Pete Hegseth signing of the defense bill.
Yeah, so this is all you. So Secretary of Defense signs a statement of intent on defense cooperation between the United States and Qatar.
And this was paired with an economic commitment by Qatar to buy a bunch of Boeing planes and things like this. Boeing is going to have a huge year next year because the UK committed to $10 billion of Boeing planes as well. So Trump is pairing a lot of the really big corporations in the United States with these tariff negotiations, contracts, and things like this. Boeing is actually, yes, it's a public company, but it's really part of the military arm and national defense arm as well. So, yeah.
Sorry, my contact wants to fold in on itself, and I know people don't like it when.
Okay, and I covered this story earlier, so we won't go too much into it. Let's just go into the DC drainout.
Okay. This story only reminds me of a student I used to have. She was from Qatar, and she would always get mad. She'd be like, "It's Qatar, it's Qatar. It's not Qatar, it's Qatar." This one?
Yeah, so let's watch what they have to say. They kind of explain what's going to happen with the census. And this was the big reason. A lot of people don't understand why the United States was allowing so many illegal immigrants into their borders when they could have just broadened the scope of what legal immigrants are. They were doing it and they were trying to shift them to Democrat states and all around to red states as well, so they can kind of rig the voting seats. Voting seats are based upon your actual population. It doesn't matter if it's an illegal or legal person. If the census says there's an extra million people in the state, you're going to get more seats when it comes to elections.
And he was on with Bannon.
Yeah, and Bannon's got absolutely excellent show, The War Room.
A little dry.
And wait, I was watching a debate with Bannon the other day, and this was an older debate. This is from 2018 in Toronto, and they absolutely hate Trump in Canada. Bannon was there. He went on stage. They started booing him. They started heckling him. They had protesters they constantly had to kick out of this debate. At the beginning of the debate, they said, "What's the future, liberalism or populism?" And it was only 26% for populism. By the end of the counter debater was actually held his own, and he was good. But Bannon is just such a good debater. By the end of that hostile crowd in Toronto that was booing him, heckling him, trying to laugh him on stage, they took the vote at the end, and 76% voted populism at the end of that. Okay, let's continue here.
Hopefully we don't get copyrighted. Bannon, we like you. Don't copyright us, please.
Well, we'll pause it and talk a little bit about it.
Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. It's just overwhelming how they're going south and going to areas of the Southwest and even some of the other parts of the West that are MAGA-centric. Talk to me about the 2030 census, because the Democrats are playing the long game here. They understand that the time that census is done, and remember, I was the guy, along with a couple of others in the White House, that tried to force the issue at Commerce to make sure that the illegal aliens here did not count. We thought it was outrageous. But go ahead and walk us through.
Yeah, illegal aliens do currently count in the census. And the issue with this is even in red states, the major cities are usually very blue. Mm-hmm. So they are funneling these immigrants into the major cities, so it's less noticeable by not putting them in rural areas. And that completely changes the census demographic and allows a really hard red state to turn blue and vote Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
The 2030 census, why is this so important? Why are you talking about basically 12 new congressional seats that'll give us a big spread in the House, also add electoral college votes that may be insurmountable to the Democrats?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. I mean, this is the grand prize. This is what Democrats are fighting for. You know, I would say second best is to get illegals to actually be able to vote, right? To get them amnesty. That's their dream. But they'd be happy with just having bodies in states. And that's what they're playing for. That's why they flooded the zone with 10 million illegals, because they said, even though we know this is probably going to smoke us in the election, we're playing for the 2030 census, because if they don't remain here, they stand to lose over 12 electoral college seats in California, in New York, in Massachusetts, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Wisconsin.
In California, if you didn't look at, I looked at the map last time, and the entire state is red except for the coast, and that's known as a hard blue state. They're talking about electing a conservative governor for the first time after Newsom. So if Trump continues to not allow illegals in and somehow manages to deport them, either it's to Canada or their home country, the United States is going to go conservative for the next 20 years. Okay, let's continue.
And they're going to red states. They're going to Florida. They're going to Georgia. They're going to Texas. They're going to Nevada. And a few North Carolina. And what that would mean, Steve, is Republicans would not even need to campaign in Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin to win the White House. Only the safe red states would need to be won, and they'd cakewalk into the White House with a very comfortable House majority, because when they lose these electoral college seats, those are congressional seats. Now we're redistricting again, and you're going to add 2 more seats to Florida, maybe 3. Remember, they stole 3 to 5 seats in this last census, right? We saw that. Biden got to kind of clean up right at the last minute.
We can kind of pause that. I just want people to know what's kind of going on behind the scenes with immigration. It has a lot of political undertones to it, and this is how they're trying to rig elections, is through the census, and a lot of people don't know this.
And I mean, also with the whole immigration debate and deportations and stuff like that, I mean, yes, some immigrants are at fault, to put it that way, the ones that are criminals, the ones that committed criminal offenses other than being there illegally, because that in itself is a criminal offense in the United States to enter the country illegally, but the ones that actually like seek to do evil. But I mean, the main people that everybody should be blaming is the system and the people that allowed for all of this to happen. If they had strong border protection, if they were able to combat that then from the beginning, then they wouldn't be stuck in this problem in the first place.
They didn't want to combat it because they wanted to rig the census. America already lets in
ages ago. I mean,
yeah, America already lets in the most legal aliens of any country in the world by far.
Yes,
the only way to rig the census, and they've been doing this for decades.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So like the ones that should be blamed mostly are the
politicians.
The politicians that allowed for all of this chaos to begin in the first place.
And it's Democratic politicians.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, did you hear, I was going to talk about it in Spanish, but didn't have a lot of time, about how they want to impose a 5% tariff on remittances from...
5%.
Yes, 5%.
5%, right?
Yeah, I said 5%.
I thought you said 75% for a minute.
No, 5% tax on remittances from people that are in the States, either legally or illegally, and send money home.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Because I was going to talk about that in Spanish, but I didn't.
Yeah, a 5% tax on remittance is a very low tax. So, and you are taking money out of the country. Mm-hmm. So you want to try to keep the economy in a circular economy, so most of the money stays within it.
And countries and help the people within your country.
In countries where there's a large immigration, a large amount of immigrants, whether legal or illegal, a lot of money gets sent home. And I understand the need to send that home, but it really does hurt the home country.
And what I wanted to talk about was the reaction from Morena and like all of the people that govern this country. They were outraged. Like, how dare the United States? And now they want to send a delegation to go lobby the U.S. politicians to stop this from happening. They're saying it's a human rights violation, that they shouldn't be allowed to do this. It's their own country. It's a different country. And they're deciding to actually look out for their own people to let the money that is produced within the country to stay within the country. And why doesn't their government, why doesn't the Mexican government in general do stuff so instead of people having to go elsewhere to find opportunity, to make money, to find security, do that here. Instead of going to complain to them, complain to yourselves for the state you've left the country in.
Yeah, exactly.
With all your bienestar bullshit.
Okay, let's continue on to Mexican beef imports. You touched on this a little bit, and this is going to go with the next story, which I covered in the afternoon.
Yeah, so the U.S. suspended Mexican beef imports. Could the screwworm spread in Canada?
And can you read a little bit? Because I don't know much about the story, actually.
Yeah, so after the United States suspended imports of Mexican live beef cattle on Sunday, one Canadian public health expert says Canada should be concerned about the flesh-eating screwworm and the potential for infections that could have far-reaching implications. If you don't know what a screwworm is, it essentially burrows under your skin and then lives there, essentially. I think anytime we have a pest that's spreading between animals and can threaten an entire system with risk, we ought to be concerned. Jacob Shalley and Soledad. The U.S. government first detected the pest in Mexican cattle shipments and limited the imports in late November, but the ban was lifted in February when it created protocols to assess incoming animals, the AP reported. The U.S. then announced it paused the shipments again on Sunday, prompting Mexico to say Tuesday it will strictly limit cattle shipments from Central America. The parasite, commonly found in Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and South American countries, has spread to the north of Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, and Mexico. In Canada, the parasite infected a Canadian traveler who returned from Costa Rica in recent months. Costa Rica declared a screwworm national emergency in February.
Yeah, and I don't know. I eat a lot of beef, so I don't like to hear stories like this. But also,
I know here in Mexico, it was around the south that they were detecting it.
And anytime Canada's involved in parasites, pests, Jimmy Jab pandemic type things. I don't know if I really trust it because Canada right now is desperate for.
No, but this is actually happening.
No,
like
I know.
All governments have.
But even if it's happening a little bit, they can exaggerate it.
They can exaggerate it, but this is one thing where I wouldn't want to try to find out. Because I don't want a worm popping out of me.
No, but what I'm saying is Canada right now, I'm not even talking about this story. Canada right now is absolutely desperate for a national emergency. If Mark Carney can call an emergency for any reason, he can basically take all the rights and freedoms away from the basic population, and he can start printing money, and it would be one way to prop up the economy. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't have to put anything past Parliament and things like that.
Yes, so... Oh, Rafa says, by the way, very interesting Diddy video. Please keep doing more of those. See, he doesn't want to let me. My producer doesn't want to let me do more Diddy videos.
My theory. Do you want to tell my theory?
No.
Okay. Why don't you talk about the cricket farms then?
Because, in Mexico and some other countries in South America, and Latin America, South America, whatever you want to call it, we do eat bugs, crickets. Although I have friends from other places like Colombia who think it's absolutely disgusting as well. But bug off, Canada's biggest insect protein plant, squished despite millions in taxpayer cash.
Yeah, this was funded by the Chinese government. The Canadian government said they only funded it to the tune of $8.5 million. Come to find out, they subsidized it to the tune of $40 million. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more. People aren't going to eat bugs in Canada and the United States
because it's not cultural. They're not used to it, and they're being forced to.
In places like Mexico, South America, and Asia, it's a lot more normal. That's where you need to put these plants. I talked about this earlier with EV batteries as well.
Yes.
Canadian EV cars don't work well in Canada, so why you're forcing it on the people is crazy.
Yes, and it's fine if they don't want to eat the bugs. I think you tried worms, didn't you?
Here? No, I tried crickets and salsa, and I didn't mind it at all.
No, but you tried worms also.
Yeah, I don't like the worms.
I like escamoles, I like gusanos de maguey, I like crickets. I do eat all of that. And I don't find it gross, so every time people are like, oh, I'm not going to eat the bugs, I'm not going to eat the worms, I'm like, well, have you tried them? Because they're not that bad, especially when you're actually eating them in the place that knows how to make them. Especially escamoles. But I just find that complaint. I understand where it comes from it being globalist, from them being forced to when it's not a cultural thing. But I find it kind of ridiculous, the whole, oh, we're not eating bugs argument, personally, as a Mexican.
Okay, let's move over to RUMBLE. It's getting a little late, and I got quite a few stories for over there.
This? Oh, no, we're going over?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Where am I? Let me see. Oh, yeah. Rafa says, eat the bug guy. I really don't get it. But fine. I'll continue my evangelization of eating bugs with Guy.
Okay. We'll see you over on RUMBLE. We got a couple stories that are too hot for YouTube, so we don't want to get censored or banned.
Yes, and we didn't go there yesterday, so Rumble, RUMBLE one. So thank you for being here on YouTube, and we'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m., 9:15 Central Time.
No, we'll see you over on RUMBLE
now we will,
in just a moment.
on YouTube, I mean.
Okay, let's continue. Tell me when we're over there.
Hold on. I mean, we're already there, but we kind of have to wait for people to stream in.
Okay, maybe I'll talk about